UPS just dropped off this box here, and in this box is a big bag of air tabs. These are what air tabs are, and I got a nice box of 84 of them. And what these are supposed to do is you mount these on the trailing edge of either your RV or trailer, or if you had a professional driver, your tractor trailer or whatever, and it is supposed to break up the drag on the back end. And according to the literature here, it does three things. It's supposed to give you around 2.4% or so increased fuel mileage, plus it's supposed to reduce the crosswind effects of wind blowing across the highway or a semi driving in the opposite direction, and you know how it'll suck you in when you're driving a big vehicle yourself. And as well, it's supposed to keep the back end of your rig clean. And that's important for me because I have a towed vehicle, and it seems like anytime it rains and we're towing the thing, it is just filthy. So I'm hoping to take advantage of the fuel mileage as well as keeping the towed vehicle clean and better handling. And the way these are supposed to be installed is you install this to the front of the rig and this towards the back. And you install one on top of the other and leave about a 3/4 inch gap between them, such like that. The air tabs are going to be placed along the trailing edge of the coach right here, as the instructions suggest. And the flat part goes front, like that. Well, they're supposed to be within 14 inches of the flat spot. Well, that presents a problem because the only place I can put them where this door is in this spot here or in front of the door like that. If I put them in front of the door, the problem I've got is the door won't fully open against the sidewall here. So for these, I'm going to try to put on the very end here, which I've got just enough room to do it. Although there is a gap that's caused by these two vertical aluminum surfaces. What I'm going to try to do is I bought some VHB tape. This is about 1/16 of an inch thick, and this is about 1/8 of an inch thick. So one or the other, when I put this in here, I should be able to fill the gap in this little void. Now I'm going to go from the bottom all the way up to the top. The manufacturer recommends using alcohol as a surface prep, but make sure it does not have any ammonia in it, as is commonly found in window sprays, because that will affect the adhesive. This is definitely a job where you want to take it one step at a time, and you can see the first one I put in here just had only so much room to put it in, and in fact I had to just round this corner off just a little bit to get it to fit. So this is the first one. And then now this is the difficult part, and I think I'm going to lay them all out first so I can see where I got to put the stripe at. I had originally intended to use blue tape that was 3/4 of an inch thick to measure the gap between the tabs, but this turned out to be 0.7 instead of 0.75, even though it was advertised as 3/4. So I'm not going to really be able to use that tape. What I'm going to do instead is I just got a 3/4 inch thick piece of wood here that I'll just use as a little stop between the two, so I can get 3/4 of an inch spacing. And since I have to fill in this gap here, I'm using this VHB foam tape that is just the right thickness. And there's several thicknesses you can buy, so you'll have to just judge by what you need. Well, you can't see the pencil marks, but trust me, I put them in there. And then all I do is I trim these edges here and here before I apply the air tab. And after applying the air tab, then I take my knife and just trim the VHB top and bottom, and then that makes for a nice smooth edge. And I'll have to do some silicone sealing around the edges and stuff like that when I'm done, but I'll silicone seal this a little bit only on these parts that go between that, where that trough is. Then after filling in the gaps with this VHB tape, then I'm just taking this silicone and putting the bead around there, top and bottom. Well, the easiest way I found to lay these out is to use a square like this and make a couple marks along the way, and then put some painter's tape on it, and then you get a nice straight edge. That's going to be about the best way to keep it straight. You also notice that I had it playing around obstructions where that cabinet latch is. I had to move the tab back just a bit, as well as, of course, where the door is. And of course, you'll want to put air tabs in front of the tire wells as well. Well, I actually did try to paint one of these black because I was going to put the ones in here black, but as you'll see, it didn't adhere too well, which kind of tells me that they probably left the mold release agent on here, so they probably didn't clean these all that well. And so for me to clean them, I'd probably get all the self-adhesive wet, and I don't want to do that, so I just put them in without painting them, and it don't look all that bad, really. So today I'm up on the roof finishing the air tab installation, and I had a few left, so you'll notice I want to cross the top. And then, since I know for sure I've lost about a ½ mile per gallon putting these on, I just put some around here. I had a few left. So if they work, they work. If they don't, they don't. I mean, I had some spares. So anyway, next step is to do a test drive and see how well it works. Well, we have here a little more panoramic view of the air tabs. And this is at the end of the installation. We have them going up the side, have them down in front here, and one down at the bottom, all the way up, and then of course across the roof. So we're driving along highway speeds here, and with the air tab installed in the RV, and this is a preliminary test of a trip I took about 60 miles one way, and we're now on the return leg. And on the first leg I averaged around 9.3 miles per gallon, and as you can see here on my scan gauge, I'm at about 9.5 miles per gallon on the return trip. Now that could be due somewhat to traffic because this is a 4th of July weekend and we've got a lot of traffic, or it could be, you know, any number of small little things. Either subconsciously I'm driving differently, although I've been trying to use the speed control as much as possible, or it could be temperature differences, or, you know, wind differences, any number of things, any manner of number of different things. So, you know, I'm going to have to do some more testing on this and get some more miles racked up. And the more miles I've racked up, the more average I think this is going to be. But the first results I'm getting is, it does seem to be very encouraging that I'm getting somewhat better gas mileage. And also I did notice that part of my trip was on 2-lane highway speeds, and passing semis the other way, sometimes I could still feel a little bit of push, but many times I didn't. And the times that I did, it was greatly diminished. So I think not only in the fuel mileage department, but also in the handling, it's improved with the air tabs. And primarily the reason I bought these is to keep my towed vehicle clean, and that I can't test because it's not a rainy day, and it seems like when it rains I get a really terrible amount of mud and dirt and everything on the towed vehicle. So we're just going to have to try that at another time. Over time, you know, that result may change, and we're going to take another trip around 500 miles here pretty quick, and so we'll test it a little bit further, and I'll report back with another video with the long-term results. But initially anyway, it's very encouraging, the initial results, and so hopefully those will pan out, at least an improvement will pan out over the long term. For now, I'm fairly encouraged by what I'm seeing.